As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player. The Blue Zerg representing Gammon Gladiators. It is SHIN. And you know what time it is? It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets in the chat for who you believe will take the series. Will it go the way of the Terran? Will it go the way of the Zerg? Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat. It's going to be a hard one to call, I'll be honest. We have seen SHIN defeat ByuN in the past. We've seen ByuN do the same to SHIN. Again, these two face off so often in these online open tournaments. They go back and forth. This week, whose turn is it? Whose turn is it to take that win and to claim that series? Let's go. Let us go. For now, Hatchgas Pull, Standard Opener out of SHIN. Likewise, Rax Expand out of ByuN. So we are settling in. I'm just looking up the history here, the most recent history. I'm curious how this has been going. I want to say ByuN won last week. I want to say ByuN won, if I'm not mistaken. He did. Okay, so PiGosaur Monday number 6. That was exactly a week ago. ByuN did win 2-0. Then it was that same week the PTR tournament, the Warnies PTR tournament. SHIN won 3-0. And then he 2-0'd him as well in the previous tournament. So most recently ByuN 2-0'd. Before that SHIN 3-0'd, then SHIN 2-0'd, then ByuN 2-1. So again, very back and forth. Back and forth. But most recently last week, ByuN did win. So he has had the most recent victory over SHIN. At least most recently. Does that mean it's SHIN's turn to win, or is ByuN going to continue his streak? We're here to find out. As the Reaper does move out across the map, going for his scouts. SHIN likewise back at home. He should be able to keep up. The Lings have arrived. It's just a supply time for the Queen. As the Reaper does slip in. Threads the mineral line, going for the Lings. Drone taking a lot of hits, taking a lot of damage. And it looks like one Ling does go down. Oh, 2 Lings even. Very nicely done. 2 Lings do fall. ByuN, he backs off. So far, a good trade. And we'll see if he can take down the Creep Tumor as well. That's what he's going to be looking for. We do see an inject instead from SHIN. It does take the triangular third base. Does go for the triangular third. ByuN does confirm. And what I find interesting here is that, again, SHIN, he does delay his Creep Tumor here against ByuN. It makes sense considering how intense ByuN is with his Reaper Micro. Doesn't even try. For now, just focusing on zoning back that Reaper. And, ooh, we just see ByuN behind this going for a 3rd CC. So 3 CC before Starport. Very economic build here by ByuN. Does go 3 CC. Working towards the mid game. Likewise, we also have the tech lab on the way for an add-on swap. Add-on swapping the Rax and the Starport to get into ideally Banshee production. Speaking of, Banshees are on the way. We'll see if ByuN commits into Cloak as well. For now, just Banshees. Into his Hellions, looking for map control. His goal here is to try and deny as much creep as possible to maintain control over SHIN. And we'll see if SHIN can keep up. So, does anyone know how to play SC2 on WHD monitor without awful stretch? Ooh. I would imagine that there must be something like a Reddit thread on that, right? I would hope at least. Do you recommend searching through the Reddit? I'm sure there'll be some help there. If not, you can make a post yourself. True. You can ask the masses. There isn't a post already. Yeah, that I'm unfamiliar with. I haven't gotten a new monitor in over 10 years. Like, I think my have monitors from like 2013. I mean, they're fine. I mean, hey, they're monitors. They hold up. in general. When is my keyboard's like from 2016? My mouse also from like 2016-ish. We make do, Pappy. We make do. Solid. Oh my god. As ByuN behind this is getting into a bit of a Rax explosion. So we'll keep an eye on ByuN. For the time being, he hasn't really been too active. He's been somewhat poking in with the Banshees, you know, threading some mineral lines, Hellions as well, but he hasn't been able to get quite into a mineral line yet. So far, SHIN is keeping up. But what I'm really curious by is how many Raxes do we throw down? For now, he does have a 5 Rax setup, is getting that 3rd, but this is not a bad map for something like an 8 Rax. So we'll see if he does throw down 3 more Raxes. That is what we are looking for. Does he take his gases? Does he throw down more Raxes? As aggression is favored on Whispers of Gold because of the shorter rush distance by ground, because of how exposed the 3rd base and 4th base are. Rocks are being knocked down. So far, ByuN is holding his own. Oh. SHIN threatens us around. SHIN cutting workers at 70 for now, getting up to 3 base saturation. There we go, joining up a little bit further, embracing Ling Bane. Hydrogen has been thrown down here for SHIN, and ByuN does take extra gases. So ByuN is not going for a 3 base all-in, he's going for extra gases, which means we should soon be seeing a 4th CC as well. Does poke in. Ooh, SHIN taking a lot of Hellion shots to the face. There it is, a 2nd factory. I mean, because of that gas geyser does lead to factory play. And I'm still looking for that 4th command center. Armory for 2-2. ByuN now moving out. We've reached that 7-minute mark. And now we have the biotank push with 1-1 stim combat shields. ByuN can threaten the 3rd. And we'll see if SHIN can hold. SHIN at the same time going for a Ling counterattack. Oh, does slip into the mineral line. Uh-oh. SCVs are going to be going down at the same time. ByuN pushes in. The Melees! Oh my god. The splits it off right there. Massive connections. ByuN does save some of them here in that medevac. At the same time, ByuN pulls away in time. Ooh, he only lost 3 SCVs. Very nice defense. Minimize losses. And ByuN can now focus on his push. Focus on his assault. And SHIN lost a lot of Banelings. There's a lot of Banelings already. Doesn't quite have enough to push in. Likewise, Lings are thrown away. SHIN, he's in a bit of trouble here. Building up more reinforcements. And ByuN is gaining ground. Takes down the gas geyser. Banshees get cleaned up. ByuN actually dropping into the main. Reinforcements are on the way. There we go. 4 CC now gets thrown down. After the push. Trades well against these Lings without Bailey's. The Lings, they melt. Oh my god! And this might just be too much. Lings go down. The Queen's under fire. 1 medevac falls. SHIN does hold, but that was not an efficient trade for SHIN. And ByuN is pulling him apart. Now getting into the mineral line. Drones are falling. SHIN does have some Ling Bane to work with, though. Gets one of the tanks. Gets some decent Baneling connections towards the end. He does hold on. This was, again, just a really rough fight for SHIN, though. He barely does hold. Lost 12 workers in the process. But he resets the tank count. That's what's important. Whew. Tank count gets reset. ByuN backs off. SHIN holds. Wasn't an easy hold, but does hold nonetheless. Now working on 2-2 into Hive Tech. SHIN, he still does not have an ideal economy. He has to re-drone. Does have to resaturate his bases. And ByuN is still being active. Drop comes in, gets a queen. Up! As SHIN does not get the medevac. And ByuN going for a split push. SHIN trying to keep up. Does manage to drone up to 81. It's now gotten back up to a more ideal economic state, but yeah, not quite ready in the main. Job comes in, takes down a gas geyser. One Bailey connects. Second gas geyser almost goes down. Nice drag here with the Widowmine. ByuN drops down to the low ground. The hatchery is so close to falling. ByuN, he wants it. Up. Gets a couple of drones. Gets the gas. And SHIN still just having a really hard time keeping up. Meanwhile, ByuN getting his fourth up and running. ByuN, he arguably has the better economy here. Worker counts are neck and neck, but ByuN has mules. So ByuN does have the better economy, but both players are about to max out. Main collapsing in, takes down the Widow Mines. The Hive is finishing. Hive is finishing up, so SHIN has access to 3-3, Adrenal, and potentially Ultras. I'm curious. I mean, I don't believe SHIN has gone into Lurker Tech yet. Ah, there we go. Lurker Tech's on the way. Full medevac goes down. But the drop once again gets into the main. Again, how many times has ByuN dropped into the main base here? No creep, no spores ready for this. Army trying to keep up. SHIN getting ready for this round, doesn't quite catch them. ByuN now focusing towards the left-hand side instead. Going for the would-be sick. Actually does quite well against this. Lings, they come in to reinforce, where the Banelings, they just do morph in. And SHIN, he can focus this down. Likewise, he defends his main, forces back the double drop. Ooh, takes down a medevac. SHIN gaining map control for the first time in a long time. For the first time since the first push. SHIN, he moves out. Oh, pushing into a Widow Mine field. The minefield has potential, but the Widow Mines are going down. Up. Good mine connection towards the end. Banelings, they try to break into the expansion. 7 SCVs go down. Not bad. 7 workers, but SHIN, he's running out of Ling Bane. He's going to try to commit a little bit harder here. He has to back off. Has to pull away. But here come the Lunkers. Oh my god. The Lurker Den is done. Lurker upgrade almost complete as well. And SHIN, finally, when it rains, it pours. After he gets map control, he pushes towards the expansions. And ByuN, he's in trouble. Plummets an army supply. And he's not ready for Lurkers. He doesn't have any ghosts. 0 ghosts, no tanks. Decent mine connections. But what is his answer to the Lunkers? There is none. Expansion goes down. SHIN, he's snowballing out of control. He's made it to Lurker Tech. Oh my god, massive spine shots going off. GG gets called, and SHIN takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. A very intense game 1 there. ByuN was, again, just hammering down those drops, was all over SHIN for a time. ByuN was very committed, very aggressive with the drop play. But what I will say is that was designed to kill. Clearly, ByuN, he was hoping for more damage, and he was hoping to kill SHIN. ByuN was not ready at all for Hive Tech. He was not ready for Hive Tech. He was not ready for whether it was Lurkers or whether it was Ultras, you know, pick your poison, whichever it was going to be. ByuN was not ready for that whatsoever. He was hoping to get more damage, playing very committed. Not quite, I wouldn't say all in, but just very committed play there by ByuN. Oh. And once he lost control of that momentum, SHIN snowballed out of control. And with that, SHIN does take the 1-0 lead. Oh, I should fix that up on the screen. There we go. SHIN does take the 1-0 lead, and now we're getting into game number 2. It's going to be on ley lines. Here we go. I'm going to be getting into ley lines next. But again, a big reason as to why ByuN was so aggressive that game, and why the counterattack hit so hard as well, is the map we were just on, Whispers of Gold, is, I think it's the smallest map in the new map pool. I think it is the smallest one. So very small, and because of that, aggression is favored, and momentum swings very quickly from one player to the other. Now we're spawning into a larger map. Not the largest, but larger than Whispers of Gold. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And meanwhile, while we were in the midst of our series, it looks like the upper semifinals has concluded. We have this just in. MaxPax has taken down Solar 2-0. So MaxPax took down Solar 2-0, and now everyone is filing into our series. Everyone is filing in. SHIN, of course, going pool first. Interesting. Going pool first is going to be going for an earlier Ling move out. His goal here is to try to punish the low ground CC. So pool into hatchery. We'll see if he goes gasless and if he goes for a third expansion as well. Curious. As ByuN back at home, just going for a more standard opener. GPU settings changed to have GPU handle the scaling. Thanks. Oh, nice, nice. I'm glad that you found a thread on Reddit. Good to hear. I've got a Nokia 3210 stream quality god tier. Let's go. Got a high-end monitor like a year ago. $700. Very worth it. Gee, oh my god, that's a hefty monitor. Oh my god. I mean, if you can afford it, then obviously, sounds amazing. Sounds good. Glad you enjoy. SHIN is going gases, by the way. So he goes pool first into hatchery, into a third hatchery as well. Gases build out of SHIN. What does this mean? This means no ling speed. No ling speed. This usually means only queen defense into roaches. So queen into roach from SHIN. Lings, they do avoid the Reaper. They get into the natural. They will delay the CC. And can they force a cancel instead? They're going straight for the kill, going straight for the main. The boys are being pulled. The Marine is saved. Nice control out of ByuN, and ByuN holds. ByuN does hold his shots down the Lings. I think he loses one SCV. Yeah, one SCV goes down. Could have been a lot worse. The CC is delayed by a couple of seconds here, but ByuN can go back to producing, back to building. And he himself is going third CC before Starport. So ByuN's opener was delayed. True, it was delayed, but could have been worse. Could have been worse as ByuN is settling in. Meanwhile, across the map, SHIN is getting to its own economic build, and ByuN does confirm. He sees the timing of the hatchery, he knows how fast it is, so he knows that there is no gas. Despite not getting full scouting of the main. Here we go. When it comes to this map, welcome to Ley Lines. It is very defendable on 3 bases and even 4 bases. Coming into the third, a very narrow choke point and a ramp as well. So very defendable third location. Likewise, even here towards the left-hand side, there's also another ramp, another choke point as well. So because of how many ramps and choke points there are, we often do see mid-game play on Ley Lines and even late game as well. Can get there. That's also why it makes sense for a gasless opener. The risk that you take when you go gasless like this is that without link speed, you can have a hard time keeping up with Hellion run-bys and Hellion rotations. But on a map as defendable as this, I mean, it doesn't take long at all for the queens to rotate from one entrance to the other. So it's going to be on SHIN to keep up with the Hellion rotations with these queens. So he just has to keep up, rotate back and forth. On larger maps, it can be more difficult. For example, Side Delta. Like, Side Delta, no shot. You can't play gasless. Like, no shot, baby, no shot. So maps like Side Delta are difficult to pull that off on. Maps like... I think you can get away with it on Amphion. For sure. I would say Snowpiercer, no shot. Didn't see that happening. But on Ley Lines, it is possible. Hellions, they rotate. So far, so good. Behind this, we do have our Rack Explosion for ByuN, getting into his 3-1-1. Into Hellion Banshee. Does poke in. So far, SHIN is keeping up. Oh, even almost gets a Hellion. SHIN did invest into these Lings. This is SHIN playing scared. He didn't need them, is what I will say. So this is SHIN just taking some precautions just in case there was a Hellion dive. These Lings could have been drones. These could have been drones here, so SHIN just being overly cautious. Does delay his saturation. Likewise, Banshee is the natural. Does get 2 drones already, not bad. And SHIN is working towards his gases, towards roach speed, and... Ooh. He cancels the Roach Warren, okay. Roach Warren is cancelled, getting into Banelings instead, as SHIN is going into Ling Bane. Very interesting. Again, it is more standard to go into Roach play, but no, he does deviate. does head somewhere else, into Ling Bane. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I was like, what's all this gas gonna be for if he's not going roaches? We have the answer, mutas. So it's gonna be Ling Bane Muta, and an emphasis on the mutas as well for Shin. This is risky, quite risky to go for, but I do like it. Because of the opener, this I'm sure is the last thing on ByuN's mind. As I mentioned, it's very common and very standard to see roach play off of a pool first, off of a gas to start. So in ByuN's mind, I don't think mutas are really on the top of the list. But he's still being active. He does distract here at the natural, almost gets a queen. Queens have to respond, and the main army moves out here on the right hand side, going for the 4th. Banelings are still morphing in. Lings, they get us around, they collapse here on the Marines. Without Banelings and Lings, they can still hold their own. They do barely trade. Oh my god. Again, thankfully the medevacs were late. Medevacs were a little bit too far back, and Shin holds. Shin does hold. And now ByuN knows. Now ByuN's like, hold up, Ling Bane? Okay, interesting. So now ByuN is a little bit more aware of what's going on. Mutas are now suddenly much more viable here in ByuN's mind. Creep is being cleaned up. ByuN pushing towards the 4th. Baneling speed not yet done either. Finishing up in 5 seconds. Oh, collapses in. Forces the pickup. He gets a tank. Tries to. Very nicely done there by ByuN. I don't know if you noticed, ByuN, his medevacs were too full, so he kicked out a Marine. Feels Marine, man. Marine got kicked out for the tank. Oh, mutas are revealed, but ByuN does make it back home. The poor Marine. No. He would have been saved. He was safe. Smurge. We care about the tank more. As ByuN is forced back. But now Shin can focus on building up map control, droning up, taking more bases, getting a 5th. Shin has droned up to 81. And right now the onus is on Shin to keep this army pinned. To keep ByuN busy. But ByuN is pushing. That's a lot of Marines. And Shin hasn't got any major pickoffs yet. The army is scanned. ByuN turns around. Yeah, big moment for Shin. He's delaying the push. Forcing it back home. Mutas, they hit the 3rd. ByuN doesn't care. ByuN, he commits. He ignores the army. I mean, he has reinforcements back at home. ByuN's army is revealed, and Shin, he cannot save this base. He has to give it up. Oh. Ling Muta races back home. Expansion goes down. ByuN, he's going to keep pushing. He gets supply blocked. Shin will catch some reinforcements. Very nicely done. ByuN is actually 8-raxing. Oh my god. Sorry, I did miss that, but it's a 3-base all-in. 3-base all-in out of ByuN. It is all or nothing. But Shin is setting up for the surround. And he's collapsing in. It comes in from behind. A nice tank shot here on the Banelings, but oh my god, the surround is brutal. Cleans up the army, and remember, ByuN, he was all in. I mean, he still is. And he gets completely shut down. And are we not going to see an ace match? I mean, Shin, he's almost maxed, and ByuN, he plummets in supply. And again, the reason for this is he's going for a 3-base 8-racks all in. No gases, no second factory, no 4th CC, no nothing. ByuN has no longevity in this game. One way or another, the game was going to end. Shin collapses in. Banelings connect. Mutas, they just go ham here on the medevacs, on the tanks, on everything. And Shin is looking to make a statement. Last week, ByuN may have taken down Shin 2-0, but now it is Shin's turn. Next week, it's going to be ByuN's turn. Don't worry. Next week, ByuN will 2-0. Then the week after, Shin will let's keep going back and forth. I mean, ByuN, he's holding at least. He is holding on. But Shin is still on 81 workers. Like, he's still maxing out. If his achievements on the way, that's going to be for Hive Tech. Now, ByuN can still maintain himself by lifting the main. We've seen this before, where a player that's 3-base, or a Terran player that's 3-base all-in, that's 8-raxing, can lift the main, get 3-3, and get a fresh mining base. They can still sustain themselves, true. They can keep the all-in going. Nice PiGosaur here on the mutas. So basically, once the main base mines out a little bit more, once we're down to like 2 patches, then ByuN can think about expanding. If he makes it that long. SHIN is massing up. Is walking into a minefield. Up! The mine shots! Decent mine connections. Better mine shot towards the end. And massive connection here, but Bailey's a crash in regardless. They shut down the bio. Mutas, they wreak havoc. GG gets called, and SHIN will take the series at 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. A very interesting build here out of SHIN. Not the fact that he went gasless, but the fact that he went into mutas behind it. So very unexpected. Was, I'm sure, a surprise for ByuN to see mutas instead. Now, I do still think that ByuN had potential by going for the 8 racks, but SHIN did do an amazing job at buying time. Remember, multiple times we saw ByuN forced to turn back around and deal with the Lings and mutas. Again, the goal there, the role for SHIN was to buy time, delay the all-in, delay the push, and he was successful. Was successful in doing so, and that's what led into the eventual surround, the eventual cleanup that SHIN did have there. So GG, well played. SHIN does take it, and now we have the grand finals. We have a best of 5 ahead of us. It is going to be a TvZ rematch between MaxPax and SHIN. Oh boy. Here we go. Now, MaxPax is going to be the favorite player coming into this. MaxPax is the best Protoss in all of Europe, and one of the best Protoss players in the world. Now, we have seen SHIN bring MaxPax down. That was, how long ago? I want to say 3 weeks. Was it 3 weeks ago where SHIN defeated MaxPax in the finals of TvZ Monday? I'll double check. I will double check. We have seen SHIN take it to MaxPax. He's taken maps, he's taken series, but despite that, I do still favor MaxPax overall. I do still favor him. And it was more recently that we saw MaxPax get his revenge over SHIN. Let's see.